Getting an executive position is tough, but having a resume full of red flags make it even more difficult. So what are these red flags and how to address them? I have been a communication executive working with multi-billion euro companies. After reviewing hundreds of resumes and writing many executive job appointments, I have seen my fair share of imperfect resumes and how candidates can smartly handle issues like gaps in the employment history or lack of career progressions. In this video, I want to walk you through 7 common resume red flags so you can address them and enhance your executive profile. In case you are new here, hello, my name is Tiffany. I'm the former communication vice president of the 2 largest companies in Sweden by market cap. In this channel, we talk about all things to help middle management get executive positions. So if you want more content on this topic, subscribe and click the bell button to be notified when I post new videos every Thursday. Now, let's get into it. Red flag number 1 is lack of career progression. If you have been in your current position as a director for more than 5 years and you feel you are still growing with the same position, it's very interesting to you because there are new things to learn every day. However, recruiters often perceive this as a lack of career movement and potential ambition. This could be interpreted as a signal you are not able to secure a position with greater responsibilities, even if you believe you are still learning and growing with the same role. Now, why is it a red flag? Hiring managers are looking for candidates who can show motivation, drive, and a desire for learning and growing. When there's a lack of career progression on your resume, this can send opposite signals. This will lead recruiters to think whether you have intentionally chosen career stagnation or if your performance is not strong enough to facilitate your career advancement. Now you might ask, how serious is this? Well, it's quite significant. Companies want executives who are not satisfied with just meeting baseline expectations. They don't want to hire leaders who are happy to settle for good enough. They want their leaders who are willing to put in 110% of their effort and getting the exceptional performance of their companies and leading exceptional teams, whether that's a reasonable expectation or not. So how to address this issue? If you have experienced promotion in the past, make sure that they are highlighted on your resume. I have often seen candidates, they just put the last position in the entire journey of the company. They never mentioned the previous positions they have had in this company. Then you are not really showing your progression. But if promotion hasn't been a part of your journey, you can still focus on presenting cases of your achievements where you've taken on additional responsibility, short assignment, developed a new competence, or stepped out of your comfort zone. Red flag number 2 is overqualification. Being overqualified, though it might seem like an advantage to yourself because you have got extensive experience and a very strong track records, you might be looking for a position with lower compensation. However, in the eyes of the recruiter, this is a risk rather than an advantage. They fear that you will quickly outgrow the role and you will ask for a higher salary or a bigger position. This concern is real. It's a main reason why many employers choose not to hire candidates or leaders who are overqualified. Actually, a recent research has shown that 41% of the employed job seekers fall into this category. Well, there's a way to handle it effectively. You should clearly convey your genuine interest in the role and explain how your additional qualifications can bring added value to the team. Here's what's really important. You want to address their concerns. Please do not ignore it. The mistake is so many candidates just ignore it. They pretend it's not a thing. They assume that employers see overqualification as an advantage rather than a risk. So they skip discussing the elephant in the room. I always recommend addressing the matter directly from the start. You want to make sure and make them feel safe that you are not the kind of leader who will move to another position when a better opportunity comes. You want to build trust early in the interview process, and you need to explain why this role is an ideal fit for your career growth and emphasize your commitment for staying and accomplishing the company's long-term mission because you deeply believe in it and this aligns with your personal purpose. You can focus on how your extra qualification will benefit not only the company and the team, but also their products, the customers, and even beyond. The key here is really clear communication and establish trust at the beginning of the interview. On top of that, you can also highlight the value you can bring and articulate your purpose for wanting to work with them. Really practice your motivation. Why do you want this job? If you have ever been told you are overqualified, hit the like button. Now, let's move on to red flag number 3, misleading job titles. There are 3 scenarios here to consider. The first is your job responsibility exceeding your current job title. The second is that you have an uncommon job title only makes sense in your own company. And the third is exaggerated job title. Well, let's look at all the scenarios. Let me start with the first. If you're currently performing a responsibility of a position above your official job title and you are interviewing for a role at a higher level, you should ensure that your accomplishment and contributions align with the expectation of this higher role. Even though you might not hold the exact job title, you can highlight that you have been operating at the level in terms of responsibilities and achievements. This can be supported by your track records, your experience, the projects, the size, the scales you have handled. Even if your current job title doesn't reflect the level of work you are doing, your skill, your competence, and your track records should speak for the role you are aiming for. Now, let's move on to the second scenario. If your current company has given you an uncommon job title to your role, which only makes sense in your own company, you can still address it easily. So what exactly are these job titles? Examples: Director of Fun, Director of Life Enrichment, Head of Customer Wow, People Partner, Chief Happiness Officer, Brand Warrior, Chief Cheerleader, Chief Ego Operator, so on and so forth. So what you can do is just simply provide a more common job title next to the uncommon version. For example, next to the Head of Customer Wow, you can put bracket Head of Customer Service. This will ensure that the potential employer can understand your job role better. Well, this also helps you in search result and keyword optimization when recruiters are looking for candidates. The third scenario is exaggerated job title. This is simple. I just tell you to not do it. Don't exaggerate your job title just to appear more impressive. Instead, focus on communicating the breadth and depth of your experience. When you inflate or misrepresent your job title, this can lead to misinformation, lose the trust, and get questioned on your integrity, which is worth above anything. It's important to be transparent about your roles, accurately describe your responsibilities, and demonstrate honesty throughout the entire process. The next red flag is employment gaps. One of the most common red flags is unexplained long employment gaps in between jobs. These gaps can sometimes lead hiring manager to think that you have struggled to find jobs in the past, or potentially also showing maybe you had a poor performance or other weaknesses. This situation even gets worse when you have a period of unemployment that is more than 6 months. Research has shown that those who have been unemployed for 6 months or even longer have to send out about 3 to 4 times as many resumes as short-term unemployed individuals before receiving any interview invitation. Well, it's actually quite common for many interviewers to assume the worst-case scenario, but in reality, there are many perfectly valid reasons for an employment gap. It could be because you needed time to take care of yourself or a family member or a newborn, or you just want to pursue educational opportunities and reskill yourself. So what can you do about it? Well, there are 3 ways to approach these unemployment gaps. First, you do not need to apologize for being unemployed. It is simply a fact of life, especially in today's economy. Don't feed the interview's bias by painting your unemployment in a negative event. Instead, you want to show that you have successfully gotten interviews and received great feedbacks. And this will put many employers at ease, as this shows them that other organizations think well of you. It's a validation, and this validation will enhance your credibility in the eyes of many interviewers. Well, secondly, during these gap months, you can also fill in your time with professional development that aligns with a consistent narrative of your career growth. For example, during this gap, you might be taking online courses or attending AI classes to enhance and broaden your skill. Another option is that you can offer consulting work, which can also be included in your resume. A member of my coaching program had vice president positions at major pharmaceutical organizations. During her career gap, she felt burned out and she wanted to recharge and rethink before pursuing her next career opportunity. However, she still wanted to showcase her skill and ambition when she was ready on a new job search. So she established a consulting freelance business during her gap period. She stayed active with her network. She was going to conferences and summits while worked for her clients. By the time she started her job search, she demonstrated relevant achievements of her work within the field. Consequently, of course, within a few months, she secured another high-profile executive role at one of the largest pharmaceutical companies. Even in some cases, you might not have established a consulting firm or completed an MBA degree. You can still, for example, show that you have spent your time in a very meaningful way. For example, you volunteered at your children's school, you've taken on short courses to enhance your skill, or you have accomplished some personal projects at home. The nature of your activity does not really matter. Your goal here is to find a way to demonstrate how you have utilized your time in a meaningful way and to showcase your strong candidacy and your character. Ultimately, you want to highlight this is the value you carry. It might be true that one of the reasons you were unemployed for a certain period of time is because you choose to be selective about your next role. It is important for you to highlight that intention as well. You want to demonstrate a selective approach because this reflects your ownership of your career and you refuse to just accept any job. It's essential that the role has to be a right fit for you. The more effectively you can communicate that your employment gap was a deliberate choice, the less likely your interviewer will perceive you as a desperate candidate or somebody who is just unemployable. The next red flag is job hopping. That means you have held multiple jobs over a short period of time. Employers are gradually starting to accept that job hopping has become more common in the current job market. The long-standing concept of lifelong loyalty to one single company has been replaced by shorter tenures. However, there are plenty of employers, including the ones that I worked for, they still have this traditional value of loyalty. They continue to see frequent job change and see that as a red flag. So why do they see this as a red flag? Because they obviously have concern about candidates' ability to commit to a role or a mission that require 3 years or even more to complete. Employers may also question whether this type of candidates have performance issues. Either one of these aspects can cause an employer to hesitate about offering an opportunity. This is also true regardless of how qualified you are, especially for senior roles. Because of the complexity of this type of position and various stakeholders involved, it often takes more than 6 months to even to a year for a senior leader to fully perform in this new role. Employers may worry that they would be investing resources for nothing in return if a candidate just departs after 1 year. Given the reasons I just explained, it makes sense for them to have these concerns. So here are a few key strategies you can use during your interview if you have been changing multiple positions in a short time. First, you can demonstrate to the employer that you have consistently completed all the projects and mission before you leave a company. You want to show them that you always provided proper notice and that your decision to leave was well considered and it's not spontaneous. And second is you can focus on how your experience of working alongside different leadership style and addressing various complex business challenges has actually accelerated your learning and your professional growth. Through these roles you've had, you have built a strong and diverse network. This way, you can change the focus on your accomplishment in each role rather than just talking about the duration of the time there. In the end of the day, it's the result that matters, not the time frame. Also, you can highlight how the experience you have gained by working across diverse places and contexts have equipped you with all the best practice in different organizations, and this broadens your knowledge and your competence. Don't forget to gather as many endorsements as possible. You can request your former colleagues to leave comments on your LinkedIn recommendation section, and this will demonstrate that you have always left your previous roles on good terms. Red flag number 6 is you don't mention any achievements. When your resume lacks specific achievements, it can raise significant red flags for potential employers. This is a very common mistake as many resumes focus only on describing job responsibilities, Well, a resume without achievement will not leave a long-lasting impression. Regardless of how valuable your contribution may have been, without quantifiable evidence, nobody can guess the extent of your impact. So don't just list job responsibilities, but you want to clearly articulate the outcome and provide measurable evidence. For example, instead of saying that you created and implemented a new sales process, you should highlight that you have led a team of 23 sales and marketing managers. By implementing the new sales process, you managed to drive a 150% increase in revenue within less than 2 years. However, don't list any achievements or the most impressive ones. You need to focus on the relevant achievements that align with the job you're applying for. The next red flag is generic resumes. It is actually really obvious to any audience who is reading your resume that you actually send a generic resume that has not been tailored to a specific position. If you are sending the same resume to every job application, employers will find out, they will notice it, and many of them will ignore your application as a result. You want to make sure your resume and your cover letter are customized for each application. Focus on highlighting the achievements and qualifications that are most relevant to the position and the company you are applying for. Your resume and your cover letter should tell a narrative about why you are the ideal fit for this position. What you must absolutely avoid is sending identical documents for every single job application. This raises a red flag because it shows a lack of effort and a degree of complacency. In fact, it's better to not apply at all if you are not going to put in the effort to tailor your application. We are talking about especially executive positions here. If your resume do not communicate why you are an excellent match for the position, there's little to no chance for employer to invite you for an interview, let alone consider you for this position. If you don't bother, why should they? I have a specific process in the 1% Academy program to help middle management get their senior leadership positions and become the top 1% of a company in terms of impact and income. If you want to learn more about it, I'd encourage you to watch the free masterclass to find out my 6 steps to advance from middle to top management. You can sign up at this address, inspiremyday.org/masterclass. Or if you are really serious about your career advancement and get the result in the next 3 to 6 months, you can submit your application to the 1% Academy program where I will be coaching you. Click the link in the description to book a free consultation call with me. For now, I will leave you this video to find out how to turn bullet points into stories on your executive resume.